Hello, and welcome to Candidates Up Front. This is a public interest election program of Berks Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Berks County. I'm Judith Cranus. Our May 20th municipal primary election is fast approaching. Democrats and Republicans will select their candidates for judges, school directors, and township, borough, and city officials. This is the election where Democrats and Republicans choose the candidates who will represent them on the November ballot. However, when there is a question on the ballot, as there is in the Kutztown School District, all registered voters in that district vote on the question. It's not just Democrats and Republicans. Any registered voter should come and vote. To check your voting status, you can go online to vote.pa.gov. And that is the official state Pennsylvania website. It's a government site, very safe. And there you can register to vote. You can change your party. You can locate your polling place, or you can apply for an absentee or mail-in ballot. And the deadline to register is May 5th. The deadline to apply for a mail-in ballot is May 13th. Now, the League, in its part, is interviewing those candidates who want to be interviewed in the contested races. For each race, the candidates will get the same basic questions and have the same amount of time to answer them. Let's begin.
Hello, I'm Bill Litvin, a member of the League of Women Voters of Berks County. 7 candidates are competing on the Democratic ballot to be Reading School Board Director for a standard 4-year term. They are Paige M. Brookins, Robin Kostenbader Jacobson, Migdalia P. Garcia, M. Amelia Portes, Yahira Stone, Jonathan Tinoco, and Patricia Wright. You may vote for 4. School directors govern the school district. They set policy, establish curricula, adopt a budget, determine the tax rate necessary to support it. They select the superintendent and approve appointments of staff. About half of the 9-member board is elected at each municipal election. They serve part-time and are not paid for their work. Each candidate's views are their own and not those of the League of Women Voters or BCTV. This interview is with Patricia Wright. Welcome.
Hello.
Please tell our viewers about yourself and why you are running.
Well, I'm a lifetime resident of Reading, and I am a mother of 9. I'm a Reading School District graduate, 96, and a grandmother of 10. I've been on the school board for 8 years now, so this is a hopeful re-election, and I've served on several boards, so I'm very passionate about my community. I'm a flight attendant, so I'm all over the place, and I'm running because we can't just complain about the issues if we're not going to do anything about it. When I first ran 8 years ago, my standing platform was to bridge the gap between the classroom and the boardroom. And as the parent of children in the Reading School District, I felt that it was vital to have parents on the school board. And at the time, and the duration of my tenure on the board, I've been the only parent to be on the board. So I feel like my role has been critical. I feel like I've been a valid and vital person to be on the board, and that's why I continue to be there.
Okay. Well, you kind of covered a bit of my next question, which is fine, but you might want to elaborate on it. Tell us what your background prepares you to be a school director, including experience serving on boards that make budget and policy decisions. I guess being on the school board.
Right. So again, this is year 8 for me that I've been on the school board. Before that, I served on Berks Community Action's board of directors, and I was there for over 10 years. Before that, I served on Head Start Policy Council's board as their board president. So I've had, again, many years of board experience, but it's not necessarily about the board experience. It's about community engagement, community activism, and volunteering that makes it vital.
Okay. And what do you see as the top needs of the Reading School District?
Top needs. So, everybody has different thoughts on what that is, their top needs. I think that the top needs are going to be engagement and comprehension. What I mean by that is engaging the community, engaging parents, and comprehension as to not just telling the parents what the needs of their children are, but actually having them understand what they need to graduate, what they need in order to be successful. I think a lot of our parents are just given information, but they don't understand what they're supposed to do with it or how to help their students. And that's why we're not seeing the growth that we need to see. I think staff shortages are also obviously a top need because we don't have enough teachers to help our students.
And how will you address the different needs of all the different students? English as a second language, special ed, low income, different ethnicities, race and gender equity?
I think we're already doing a pretty good job of that. English language as a second language, language learners. We recently now just started with, we have reading specialists in every school. That's something that we didn't have before. So I think having one in every building is absolutely a huge plus. It allows more one-on-one space. Again, I still think we need to have more one-on-one time. So I think something that I'm strongly advocating for is bringing back the something similar to the foster grandparent program. So not that I know that I'm at liberty to say that exact phrase or that company, but having our older or our elder generation be able to be with our younger students and be able to read with them is extremely important on many levels. Building that bond, having them read, and that connection in general is good for our seniors as well as our elementary students.
And what are your views on how social studies and language arts are taught in our schools? And as a secondary question, should we be banning or restricting access to books or speakers in response to parental objections?
I'm not sure. Can you elaborate more on that first part of the question? What do you mean, what are my views on how social studies and language arts are taught?
Well, in terms of when they're taught, what grade levels they're taught at, and what's covered in the classes?
I don't know that I would have to look more into that in itself. But I think in terms of banning or restricting, I think if it's actual history, we should not be banning or restricting what our history is. I think if parents have objections to what is being taught, perhaps their child should be excused from learning that curriculum that day. But I don't think that they should not be teaching it.
Okay. And what are your views on educator salaries and benefits? How will you deal, you already mentioned the teacher shortage, how will you try to deal with that going forward?
Correct. So again, going back to my beginning or my 8 years ago, one of the things that I addressed then or started to state was that I believe that it's all connected, obviously. You have to have content teachers in order to have content students, or it has to, it's a flow, right? So in order to have successful students, we have to have teachers that are what's the word I'm looking for? We have to have teachers that are having their needs met.
Okay.
that obviously would mean that they have to be getting compensated. So if they're struggling and they have to bring their own supplies, they're not going to be happy to be there.
Sure.
So clearly that's why we're dealing with the shortages that we have now. So again, that's something that we are addressing now in terms of we have programs set up with different colleges where we're looking to recruit teachers from different colleges now and do internships. So it is something that we are looking into now.
Okay. And Reading, as one of the most underfunded schools in the state, may get additional funds from this year's state budget. What do you think is the most important thing to prioritize? Where would you spend that money first and second as compared to fourth and fifth? Maybe
what do
first,
I
second, and
think?
third. I don't know.
I don't know that this is going to be very popular with a lot of people. So we are still underfunded, but we have gotten additional funds this past go around. So we've made changes. We're in the process now of building a STEAM building, a new innovation academy. So I think.
You're already seeing it happen then.
Correct, but I think the important things to spend money on next, I would have to say, would probably be additional opportunities or supplies to further expand for our readers or our math to help build.
So focusing on reading and math. And
Correct.
Just for our viewers, you mentioned STEAM, and they probably know STEM. They may know STEM, but STEAM stands for
Science, technology.
I'm trying to remember. I
The
know
A.
A is the arts, math, engineering. I should know that too.
I think it's engineering.
Okay,
I
well,
think it's engineering.
look it up, folks.
Yeah.
Do you advocate any changes to the curriculum at any level? Change could be to add, subtract programs or subjects.
I constantly do. I feel that it's extremely important for our district to be competitive with the surrounding districts. I'm constantly asking, if we are similar, if we're getting the same, or if we're getting the same resources, what the curriculums look like in the suburban schools. And I know that things are semi-different in terms of having more English as a second language learners. Here we have, but
Where do you go for that type of information, if I might ask? Would that be the BCIU, or do you talk to other school boards?
no. So we have 2 assistant superintendents that do teaching and learning. And they get the curriculums. They're in charge of doing the curriculum. So when they come and they bring us all the information at our COW, our Committee of the Whole meetings,
Okay.
they make those recommendations there. We ask them questions all the time of where they've gotten their information and what
Okay.
the best.
And what is your view of school choice? And I'll let you define that if you want, but
Yeah. So this is a huge controversy, and I'm not popular among some people, but not everyone learns the same way. Not all classrooms are designed the same. Some people need much smaller settings. So I think that there are places and time when a charter is necessary. I do believe that. I do, however, feel that I don't think that charter funding should come from the district's pocket. I feel that it should be capped, if that makes sense.
I understand what you're saying, sure.
Correct. I think that there should be a limit as to how much should be able to go from there. It should be a set amount. But I think there are a place for charters. All of my kids, however, have gone to public school.
Okay,
I'm proud to say that.
very good. What 3 things do you want to accomplish if you are re-elected?
In the next 4 years, or
Yeah.
just this next year? The
Next
next
4
4
years.
years? What 3 things?
2 things, 3 things, 4 things,
Okay.
whichever.
Well, personally, let's just say number 1 for me, very personal. I have a sophomore. In 2 years, she graduates. I would like to hand her her diploma.
Nice.
That's huge.
Nice. Yeah.
So aside from that, I'd like to see a lot more transparency in our district. I'd like to see better communication. I'm excited to see the opening of the Reading High Innovation Academy. Those are things I'm very much looking forward to.
Okay. And are you active in any? Do you have time to be active in any volunteer organizations, or what do you do if you have any non-working time?
I used to be a lot more active. I used to sit on a lot more boards. Right now, I am a delegate from the Reading School District. I sit on Reading Rec Commission, and I sit on the Reading Muhlenberg Career and Technology Board. Those are the only 2 that I'm serving on right now. Too many boards make you ineffective. So that's all I'm doing right now.
Okay. Sounds like you're very busy.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have a couple minutes left if you want to make your closing statement.
My closing statement. So I didn't look out into the camera as much as I'm supposed to.
You did fine.
I look over because he was talking to me, so I look over there much more than I was looking out there. So, but to all the viewers, I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video, or whatever this is, my interview. I'm up for re-election May 20th, and I'm seeking another 4 years. I've been dedicated for the past 8 years. I've been extremely passionate. I've been very vocal. My focus has been the kids the entire time, and by that I mean it's the kids, it's the district, it's the staff. You don't do one without focusing or worrying about the whole. So I'm Reading. This is what I do. This is who I am. It's always been what I do.
Well, thank you, Patricia Wright, for sharing your views with us. Viewers, please remember there are 7 candidates on the Democratic ballot for the full 4-year term. You may vote for 4. Again, the candidates are Paige M. Brookins, Robin Kostenbader Jacobson, Migdalia P. Garcia, M. Amelia Portes, Yahira Stone, Jonathan Tinoco, and Patricia Wright. You will find candidates' upfront interviews on BCTV and its website and YouTube page. For more information on more candidates, go to the League's online voter's guide, vote411.org. That's vote411.org. For more information on election procedures, contact Berks County Election Services. Their email address, elections@berkspa.gov. Their phone number, 610-478-6490. I'm sure you'll find they're very helpful. May 20th is our municipal primary election. And primary elections in the odd years are very important. These are when you elect your local officials, your school boards, your city and borough and township officials. And your vote matters more than regularly because there are so few people who vote. So get out there and vote. Make a difference. And normally in a primary election, the voters are only the Democrats and the Republicans. But if you live in the Kutztown School District, all registered voters in the Kutztown School District, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or some other party, may vote on that ballot issue. Thank you very much for joining. I'm Bill Litvin. Good evening.